Hello, children, and welcome to week 11 of Draw and Paint for Life. I'm Maureen Claffey. I'm so grateful to be here with you. We're going to be looking this week at how to turn circles. A circle, of course, is a flat, two-dimensional, round line that connects on a piece of paper, and then a sphere is what it is in three-dimensional form in real life, like a basketball, a baseball, and we're going to be painting cake pops. Thought that'd be kind of a fun departure, and I actually researched them. They are really very interesting and easy to make, so I think I'm going to be doing some of that soon. And looking at the artwork of the Japanese master artist, Yayoi. I hope I said that right. I'm so terrible at names. Let me think again. Yayoi Kusama. Yeah, and I know you just studied her in school, which was one of the reasons I wanted to present her work again. And, the circle, even back to prehistoric times, was the symbol of infinity. And you know the saying, a ring is round and has no end, and that's how long will be your friend. And in looking at her work, I think she was talking about the infinite nature of all things. She was saying to us, like, all these polka dots, they're not just polka dots, it's the infinity sign. It's like everything is infinite. So I just loved her work. And so after our painting demonstration with cake pops, we'll have a little video on her. Look at her work, look at her early life. You know, her mom threw away all her paints and told her she couldn't be an artist and that she was gonna have to marry a rich man and be a housewife. And she moved to New York City, and with this dream in her heart, she speaks Japanese in these videos. Read the subtitles because it's super powerful. There are some of you who say to me, like, I'm an artist, Miss Maureen, and I believe you. And she was saying the same thing. I'm an artist. So have a look at her amazing work and her amazing life. And thank your mom and dad for sending you to art class. They're listening to you about what's important to you, so say thank you. And that's it. It's going to be a great week. I can't wait to see you in class. And thank you so much for making art. Your art is so important to the world. It brings light and happiness and beauty with it wherever it goes. So thank you for being artists. See you soon. Bye. Hello, everybody. Well, here we go with the idea of spheres, or as they're drawn, circles, becoming spheres, onto becoming cake pops. So I'm going to take kind of a piece of paper that's a little bit damaged, and I never like to waste anything. Mother Earth is so generous with us in terms of resources. So we're going to take this piece of paper, and I want you to start out, if you would, by just like feeling your hand, remembering all the magnificent things that you do with your hands every day. And then picking up a marker or pencil, and I want you just to practice making circles, because sometimes we get freaked out. Like, look at this perfect circle right here, right? And we think, okay, if it's not perfect, I'm not perfect, everything's terrible. Well, that's just not true. Nothing's perfect. Everything's beautiful. And let's make some circles, okay? So I always like to kind of just like get my hand going. Love to feel the side of my hand on the paper, and then putting your pen down when you're ready, enjoying the sound of the marker, the pencil on paper, just allowing that to like run through your mind. Art is a sensory experience. It's tactile. It's there's sights and sounds and smells and feels, and all of it's important because all of it helps us be calm and make good decisions. Art is a coping skill and a life skill. So, lots of circles, a little bit of fun there. Okay, and I'm just going to turn my light down a little tiny bit. Feels like I'm getting a lot of reflection off this. Okay, anyway, so for as many times as you need, allow yourself to feel really confident in making a circle, okay? All right, so I'm gonna set that aside and pull in another piece of paper, and we are gonna make cake pops. I wanna do a little painting with you first though. This is the color of the week, is this cerulean blue, which is such a gorgeous blue. And I just want to lace them out on the paper for you. All right, and let's see how beautiful it is. And then in this circle, we're gonna see what happens when we mix it with black. All right, this is the beginning of color theory. And in this little box of paint are like an infinite number of colors. So this is super cool. It makes kind of like a grayish blue when you mix it with black, okay? And then it makes a really beautiful, like light blue when you mix it with white. Okay. And then you take the cerulean and you mix it with yellow. And I'm trying to rinse my brush out pretty well here between mixes because the brush will carry paint. It'll affect the color you lay down. And if you're concerned about it being a specific color, rinse your brush out really well. So that's what it looks like in green with yellow, okay? Now, let's look at, I'm gonna turn this light off and just see what happens. I feel like I'm getting a bit of a reflection there. Oh, that's so much better. Okay, so you can see with yellow, mix green with, that was just the straight up cerulean. This is with black. And I'm gonna mix that in a tiny bit more. Okay, but it makes this really kind of gorgeous charcoal blue. And then down here we've got cerulean, and I'm gonna add to it red. And you know, you don't have to mix it all the way through. And you can change up your colors and add more. Look at that beautiful like light lavender that comes out. So what did I forget? Cerulean, I did white, I did, oh, we're gonna do one more here, and I'm gonna add the ultramarine blue from last week and see what happens. It just really kind of makes it very rich, very, very rich. So there you go. So that is cerulean blue, and this is how you spell it. Cerulean, cerulean, it's probably cerulean. C-E-R-U-L-E-A-N. There you go. Beautiful. Awesome. Okay, so here we go with doing some cake pops. And this week, now we always have colored pencils in the classroom as well as watercolor pencils. And these are watercolor pencils, but I'm actually thinking it would be nice to have just straight up colored pencils because they have a wax in them that makes the paint resist the marks that you make with the pencil, and it's kind of beautiful. So let's check that out. We'll do that. And I'm gonna pay a little bit of attention as you begin to how you want to set up your workspace. It's your workspace. Set it up the way you want. I forget and get distracted sometimes and move my paint box all around, but it's always best for me to have it right to my right hand. I'm right-handed, and it's like, you know, when I'm really into it and I'm not even thinking and I'm just pulling color, it's a great place to have it. If you put it over here, you're probably gonna drip on your painting, but maybe that's part of what you love, and so that's good too. So the awareness is really what's important. I'm starting with a little bit of blue in my water, but I kind of like that. And we're gonna start with, how do I want to do this? I think I'm just gonna do a single big cake pop like this. Let's just see. Okay. Okay. There's my cake pop circle, and I'm gonna make a stick kind of coming off the side of it diagonally, okay? I don't even know that that's the right size, the right fit, but we'll play with that later, okay? What I wanna show you in terms of turning a flat circle into something that looks like it has 3 dimensions is that it's all about shading and following curved lines. So say for instance, if I wanted to make this cake pop look 3-dimensional, what I would probably do is I would make lines on it that were curved. And see this line here? My first line would probably follow that line. Okay, so follow this line. This one would follow it a little bit less. The one in the middle would probably be fairly straight across, and then this would curve here and that would curve there. So you're following, it's like a basketball really, right? The closer you are to the curves, the more you follow them. The lines in the middle are straighter, okay? And we're gonna pretend like, just for the cake pop idea, is that we're just gonna like be decorating the cake pop. And these are gonna be, I don't know that anybody would ever take the time to decorate a cake pop like this, but say for instance, we had a whole big stripe of like, these are hugs and kisses. So what's it, an X, is that a hug? I think it's a hug. And then this one right here, we're gonna make it into a double line, and then this one would be kisses, okay? All right, but the closer the lines are to the middle, they're straighter. And then they follow these lines here. And I'm just gonna make like a wavy line here as if we were like decorating the cake pop. Another line here, so I'm making like these little thick bands just so that we can see them. All right, and I'm using this black marker so that you can see my lines. Although, you know, you can't paint over these black lines, so I wouldn't necessarily use them. And I totally put that in the wrong spot, but it's okay. Maybe in some point of space, it's in the right spot. So here we go. And I'm gonna use, what color do we want my cake pop to be? I kind of like, let's go pink. Does anybody out there like pink frosting? I mean, chocolate's really gorgeous too, and white, but white isn't gonna show up so well. And I wanna show you how to change up your paint color in order to produce the illusion of three-dimensional form. So, and I don't really like to make things brown. So I'm gonna take this bluish red, put it in my tray, and then grab some white and come up with, hopefully, a really lovely pink. Okay. All right, I'm gonna add a tiny bit of yellow to it, just because the yellow will soften it a bit. So, and I'm gonna start to lay in my pink. So this is like a raspberry frosting. It's gonna be a little bit darker on this side, just because I decided that. That it's gonna be as if the light were hitting it here, and so this part of it would be in shadow, okay? And you can see how I'm moving my brush, following the curve, all right? So I'm going this way, following the curve, and this way, following the curve, okay? So I've laid that in. I'm gonna put a tiny bit more in. And you know, one of the things that you can do is when you really want to produce something in shadow is you add a teeny tiny bit of black. Don't go crazy with it because it's hard to take out, but I'm just gonna put a little bit black in here towards the very edge just to create the illusion of shadow, meaning that something was turning in space. Okay. All right, it's a little bit darker. I'm gonna rinse out my brush really well, and I'm gonna mix right on the page, and I'm gonna take the white, which has pink already on it because I was using it, and I'm gonna move this across. All right. Now, I could have probably, and I got that yellow in there, which is actually kind of cool. That's when nice mistakes happen in art. I'm gonna put kind of a yellow space through the middle as if the light were hitting it here and shifting the space, making it appear slightly three-dimensional. This is a heavy line through here. I'm gonna try to soften that, okay? Again, following the curve of the shape. And over here, I'm gonna probably use my lightest pink. So maybe if you lay that down in class, you're gonna be like, okay, that's interesting, Miss Maureen, but it kind of looks like a bit of a mess, which is pretty common with watercolor. It needs time to dry and for you to layer more color on it. So be patient with yourself. Take the time to round out your forms. You know, a lot of the cake pops I looked at online, you know, the frosting is not like super perfect, and you might want to add some things that are slightly irregular that make it look more real. So around the edges, maybe have like some more jagged lines to make it look like it has dimension to it. I'm gonna go back in here. I'm gonna add some more. Again, following my lines, my curves. Okay. All right. I'm gonna give this a little bit of a rest and then let it dry, and I'm gonna come back to it. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do about this. It's so interesting, like there's so many things you could do with it, but really, if I were to correct it, and I'm just gonna pull some brown and black here, I would probably feel better with a line like this coming out of it. So I don't know if I can paint that into the background, but it's good to know. So, all right, see you in a minute. Hi again. So I've got myself some clean water. It's always good to have clean water so that your colors are true. And this is fairly dry. And I can see that I've got some pretty major lines on it. But I'm gonna let them stand because what I'm really interested in is showing you, just emphasizing that when you put curved lines on a circle, it creates the illusion of a sphere. So you can decorate your cake pop any way you'd like. I've got these pencils that are, these pencils are wax pencils. They're Prismacolor pencils, which are my favorite. It's an American manufacturer. I just love their stuff. So anyway, laying this out here in a pattern that's following this curved line. And you'll notice that if your paint and paper is still wet, you may risk tearing it, so be gentle. Okay, the watercolor paper is strong, but it's not like industrial strength. And see these lines? Oops, that was kind of an interesting mistake on my part. It's getting a little bit wet and soppy here. That's interesting. Let's see where that goes. Okay. I'm gonna leave that part for now and then move into some work with a watercolor pencil down here, which you can't really see, so I'm not gonna do that. These are all my dark ultramarine blue pencils, and we're gonna try these. This is indigo blue, which is one of my favorite colors. So just looking at, it's interesting how it's picking up the white paint. But if you look at this and you see how the lines are curving, you can draw whatever you would like in a curved pattern on your shape, and it will emphasize for you the curved nature of the sphere. And I'm just going to outline this little bit with the frosting, come around the top, come back down my stick, play with all the imperfections in it, and then come back here, and you can see this line across the middle is fairly straight. I think my favorite thing on the cake pops were all those little sparkly things, those little dots. So I would love to see you like put your cake pops, if you want to paint them, draw them, like in a candy store. You know, on a table, we've looked at how to do an interior. We've looked at how to draw a horizon line, and you can really put them anywhere you'd like. But it's really, in all things, your imagination that's king and queen. So what would you like your cake pop to look like? Love the sound of the pencil on the paper. Okay. Love how that feels. There's another one here. Do you see how this curve follows this curve? And this curve follows this curve. As we get to the middle, the curves get straighter. This is basically essentially a straight line. It's slightly off. And then they start to curve the other way. Okay? So, that being said, let's add a little bit more paint so we can see what happens with the resist of the wax pencil. So I'm going to put some yellow here. And you can see it doesn't stick to the red, except where the red is not completely saturated into the paper. So that's really beautiful. And then let's take some orange and put it here on the blue. Okay. And then we're going to take, I'm going to rinse my brush out really well. We'll take some green. I love this chartreuse color. And we'll layer it over the blue to see what happens. And put some more up here. And maybe pick up some of that phthalo blue from a couple weeks ago. That's a really gorgeous dark color. Just so you can see these lines. This follows this curve. This does as well, until at the center it's fairly straight, and then it starts to curve again towards this side. So there it is. Thank you, children. See you soon.
She was named by Time magazine in 2016 as one of the most influential people in the world. Her artworks often go for record-breaking, multi-million-dollar prices at auction, and her exhibitions have drawn unprecedentedly large crowds, resulting in insanely long lines and internet-breaking ticket sales. Her name is Yayoi Kusama, and you may be wondering, what's the big deal with her? Kusama is probably best known for her sculptural works and immersive installations, but is also a prolific painter, performance artist, fashion designer, experimental filmmaker, poet, and novelist. Her enormous body of work has had profound influences in not only the contemporary art world, but also on a deeper level of social, political, and philosophical thinking. One consistent motif in Kusama's works is the continuous exploration of polka dots, from organic biomorphic forms to large-scale woven patterns, to endless shimmering lights, to brightly colored dots on sculptures, installations, and human bodies. Another related idea of hers is the consistent examination of infinity, and the polka dot motif actually represents this on both micro and macro levels. Infinities can be inconceivably large or inconceivably small. So while Kusama's infinity rooms can evoke ideas of the grand, infinite universe, her dotted paintings and replicating patterns also allude to microscopic cells and exploding atomic particles.
私の希望というのは将来芸術家になることだったの。それで10歳頃から私は絵を山のように描きました。母が絵を描いてはいけない。お前は財閥の人と結婚して将来家庭の主婦になると言って私の絵の具だとかカンバスなどを取り上げてしまいました。
Making art was something that she seems to have done in opposition to her family, but she also was innately talented, and you look at the early drawings and they are completely exquisite. The challenges to become an accomplished artist in a Japanese provincial milieu must have driven this notion that at some point she would have to escape. She was on a train to stardom. She knew exactly what she wanted to do. She had a suitcase full of drawings, and she set about selling herself.
ニューヨークしていた時に初めてエンパイアステートビル乗って行ってそれから広いニューヨークを見て私は感動しました。そして私はいつかこのニューヨークを自分の心の中に芸術的な山のような私の蓄えられた力でもってこのニューヨークをいつか制覇して世界に飛び出ていくということを深く誓い合いました。
I thought we would just have a little look here at some of the images from the James Webb Telescope, which is, I don't know if you're watching those images on YouTube, but they are amazing. There's this massive technology called the James Webb Telescope, and it's out in space sending back pictures to planet Earth of what outer space looks like. And we've got some images and then an image from the International Space Station of planet Earth to finish up our time together. So polka dot's just not a polka dot. And maybe a cake pop isn't just a cake pop. Maybe it's a sign of infinity and happiness and joy. Check it out. Thank you. Bye.